good afternoon to all. I take immense pleasure in welcoming all the students for this exclusive webinar on the power of neuromarketing, essential insights for modern marketers. Hello, everybody. I'm Ishika Kapse. I'm currently majoring in marketing alongside a psychology minor. I'm a second year student and I'm a Flame student ambassador. Flame Upskill's primary goal is to assist high school students in developing critical skills for their learning and growth. And in this series, you will explore ideas outside of your courses, which will help build your profiles for higher education. Please do note that attendees who complete the entire session will be given a letter of participation, and you will receive this letter by next week. I'll post a link to the feedback form in the chat section, and you must fill it in order to receive your letter of participation. This would be a required procedure for everyone. So today's session will be taken by Professor Preetha Menon. Professor Menon is an associate professor for advertising and branding at Flame University. She holds a doctorate degree in management studies from the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. She also holds an MMS degree from marketing from the University of Mumbai and PGD in advertising and marketing from the Xavier Institute of Communications. Professor Menon's current research includes consumer neuroscience and experimental marketing, International Journal of Innovation Science, Media Watch, amongst others. She's well published in international journals of repute like European Journal of Marketing, Journal of Strategic Marketing, amongst others as well. She's a part practitioner with over 13 years of work experience. And as a practitioner, during her advertising agency stint, she's worked with clients like Taj Hotels, Madura Garments, Louis Philippe, Van Heusen, Alan Solly, amongst a lot more others. It is a pleasure to have you amongst us, ma'am, today. And I'm confident that the students will feel far more knowledgeable by the end of this session. I hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ishika. Am I audible? Just doing a quick audio video check.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So warm welcome to all the students who are here this Saturday afternoon. It's a wonderful Saturday afternoon in Pune, with blue skies. And that's partly also our logo, Flame logo, which is blue, and orange. So, and I see there are about 40 participants. So if you're here on a Saturday afternoon, then I'm guessing that you chose to be part of this session over many other things that you could have done. So I'm very happy to have this interested audience here. Like Ishika mentioned, I come from a practitioner background, which means I was in the industry. I was working with ads. I was working with brands. And slowly I moved to teaching these same things to students. I started with postgraduate teaching. I have experience in colleges or universities like Christ University in Bangalore, Great Lakes Institute of Management in Chennai, then SIBM, which is Symbiosis Institute of Business Management in Pune, and then finally with Flame for the last 5 years. So having said that, I'd like the session to be interactive. Please note that all of you can put in questions on either the Q&A tab or the chat tab. Whenever I ask you a question, I think it's best that you use the chat tab to indicate your answers. And from there, I will lead the conversation on. So this is not going to be a one-way popcorn session where you sit down and just listen, but this is going to be interactive in some ways that I will read through your chats to see what's going on in your mind as well. Yeah, neuromarketing or neuroscience, which means the study of the neural network or the mind being my forte. I will spend time trying to read into your minds. Yeah, so without any further ado, thank you so much, Divya. I'm going to share my screen now, and I just want an okay if you are able to see it. Yeah, so if you're able to see it, please say type a Y in the chat box so we know that it's visible. I've shared it already. I don't know if you're able to see it yet. Okay, great. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Dia, right? For for letting me know. Okay, so let's begin. Today's title or the topic for our discussion is the power of neuromarketing, essential insights for modern marketers. But this is not just for marketers, it's for students as well. If you ask me why students, because A, you may be interested in marketing and you may want to get into that field. And B, because everybody is a consumer, right? From the time you're born, you're consuming products maybe like Johnson and Johnson as your first powder or as your first face cream, maybe diapers, the hospital. All of this is consumption that is done by even a newborn infant. So as consumers, you need to be aware of how you are being studied to get that knowledge from you to transfer it onto brands. And if you are aspirant to be a marketer, then this session is again going to be useful because you will see all the new sort of emerging technology that is coming in this space that helps you to take decisions. Well, I see a raised hand. While we can't chat, you can type your question here in case there is anything that you want to ask. Okay, let's move on. I'm trying to transition. Somehow it is stuck. Okay, yeah, we are able to do it now. So let's begin by thinking about a few of these questions, right? These are just some challenges that marketers face or people in decision making in an organization face on a regular basis. So there is a brand manager, and this brand manager wants to increase the takeoffs from the shelf in a modern retail outlet. It means that you fill up the shelves in the retail outlet. They want things to move from there naturally by consumers buying it. So a brand manager wants to increase takeoffs. What can they do? The second question is more related to from an HR perspective, saying that the company is investing in CSR activities and wants to encourage pro-environmental behaviors, like choosing greener options. So maybe as employees of that organization, they want you to start carpooling, or maybe they want you to use the staircase instead of using lifts, or they want you to choose options in food which create less wastage. So all of these can be pro-environmental behaviors, and this company wants its employees to do this. How can they get them to do it? That's question number 2. And question number 3 is that a bank manager wants to persuade customers to stick to an affordable repayment plan. So the scenario is that there is a bank manager and there is a customer. The customer has taken a loan, and naturally for the bank, it's important that they make the payments on time, right? So they want you to stick to an affordable repayment plan. Just let these questions marinate in your head. Yeah, you don't have to come up with answers right away. We will circle back to the answers, but you can start thinking about them right away. Yeah, so you can start thinking about them. You can sort of put your thoughts together, but you don't have to answer immediately. We'll get back to this later. So for every kind of, problem that a manager faces, there are really 2 options. One is to provide more information. So in the case of the retailer, they could provide more information of the products. And the second can be, what you're seeing here is a carrot, which is an incentive. So if the retailer gives a 50% discount or a 40% discount on the rack, then the chances are that things will move from there faster than another rack where there's nothing mentioned, right? Similarly, in the CSR case, so you could provide incentives or you could provide more information, and both of these together become the, like the strong motivators for somebody to make a change or to act in the way that you'd like them to act. So what are the 2 options? The 2 options are information and incentive. Yeah, 2 I's, information and incentive. But information and incentive are like a 2-legged chair. You at least need 3 legs for this tool to stand by itself. And the third is neuromarketing, which is the topic of our discussion today. So we are going to talk more about, so you all know everything about how you can provide information and then generate awareness. And the second one, incentive, also you all know how promotions are done and most of that. What you probably don't know is much about neuromarketing, and that's going to be our topic of discussion. So what is neuromarketing really? It refers to the measurement of physiological and neural signals. So this is so much more about the body and how the body signals, physiological signals, inform decision making. Okay, informs how the customers are motivated, their preferences, their decisions are all informed through the way we behave. So whatever we gather from these physiological signals, we apply to inform maybe creative advertising, maybe product development, maybe pricing, and other marketing areas. So when it's applied to marketing, then it's called neuromarketing. Otherwise, it's simply neuroscience, where you're studying signals from the body that help you to make a decision. So let's take one example at a time of creative advertising. One of the studies that neuromarketing really helped is when we were looking at testing two different kinds of ads. So all other things being equal, which means it's the same brand, it is the same, it's the same sort of message. It's everything is the same. The only difference that we developed in this ad was to use a different celebrity. So in one of the ads, there was Kriti Sanon, and in another ad, there was Deepika Padukone. And we wanted to see if, these two celebrities made any difference to the way people reacted to the ad, the way people remembered the ad, the way people liked the ad. Yeah. And we found through eye tracking, which is, we come back to it. I mean, we'll come to it later. But through eye tracking, we were able to say that through pupil dilation, through the amount of time that was spent on the celebrity vis-a-vis the amount of time spent on the rest of the screen. Yeah. So when you're watching the screen, then there are so many other cues going around. The product may be around, the brand name may be around. There's a story going on around in the ad. And we try to look at the amount of time spent on the celebrity and if there was any sort of correlation of that with how people remember the ad or like the ad. Yeah, the memorability or the recall value of the ad. And we found that there's a distinct difference just by tracking the eyes or where the eye is looking at. We were able to say which celebrity would work better for that particular brand. So that is one way of using creative advertising. Similarly, in product development, you will notice that there are various options you need to have when you're developing products: the shape, the size, the color, the font that is used on the product, or any of that. So product designing and product development also can be done better using consumer neuroscience or neuromarketing. Pricing, interesting example. So in a study that was conducted, one showed different kinds of wines, or rather gave different kinds of wines to people and told them the price for each of these wine bottles and asked them what tastes better. Yeah, and then you would not be surprised to know that people said that the wine, which was the most expensive of them all, tasted better than the wine that was cheapest of them all. But fun fact is that it was the same wine in all the glasses. But people, just because there's a perception related to pricing, thought already, so their brain was reacting in a way that said that the most expensive wine was the tastiest wine. One of the oldest studies, I think, in this space also of how the brain functions was the blind test done for Pepsi and Coke. I'm sure you have heard this story, but let's repeat it here for fun. So what happened is that, when Coke had a large market in the US and Pepsi was trying to get into that space, they conducted experiments on people by giving them blind tests, like just the Coke or Pepsi poured into a glass. without any branding and asking people to drink and rate the product. So at a time when Coke was rated much higher than, was more popular, had a better market than Pepsi had in the US, they found that consumers found no difference in taste or sometimes like the taste of Pepsi better than Coke, which was what Pepsi then used to sell their product, market their product, saying that, hey, when it's a blind test, you like my product better. So why are you continuing to buy Coke? But whenever consumers in the same experiment, part two, whenever consumers were shown the brand that this is a Coke product and this is a Pepsi product, people preferred Coke over Pepsi because in their minds, Coke was like a better product, right? So this information kind of gives you some sort of signal to say that if it was blind tested, they didn't find any difference, or some of them even preferred Pepsi over Coke. So these are some sort of, what do you say, applications of neuromarketing. And let's now talk about the tools of neuromarketing. So there's something called fMRI. It's called the functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI. It's non-invasive. It looks something like this. You can, you need to go into this machine and the machine picks up brain signals, which are then indicated in a brain map like that. Yeah, so this is one technique. Many studies have been done of fMRIs where they look at how the brain reacts to different marketing cues, like we looked at earlier. You could look at pricing cues, you could look at color cues, you could look at branding cues, and then see how the brain is reacting to each of this, and then use that information as a motivator for people to buy the products. The second sort of fMRI, cues that have been really useful is in music. So, music is an important part of branding, right? Music comes as an accompaniment. Sometimes it comes as a jingle, and all of this is really sort of adds on to the brand's value. So how people react to different pieces of music and what they like in those pieces of music becomes an area of understanding or insight for marketers to use that while they're branding. For instance, they found that when you played French music in a retail outlet, more French wines sold from those stores. And when they used, because this is a European setting, they used German music and German wine. So when they used German music, then the German bottles went off the racks. So this is kind of strange, right? You would never think that somebody would buy wine based on the kind of music that's playing in the store, but it really does happen. Also, music plays an important role in the sense that if you play fast music, then you have better turnarounds. So if you are a fast food joint, or if you want people to eat quickly and leave quickly, then you play fast music. But let's say you are a Gautier or you are a Cartier, for example, and you want them to sit down, get a whole experience, try your products, and only then, luxuriously take time and then only make a decision, because these are all expensive products, then you want to have them waiting longer. And therefore, you play very, very soft, soothing instrumental music. You will notice this already, that when you go to luxury stores, there won't be very fast, upbeat music. There will be very nice, classical sort of music going on in the background. Whereas if you go to, products like fast food joints or other like coffee shops where you want people to go fast, then it will be fast music and not slow music. I'm going to take a question at this point. I have a question. One thing that I've noticed is that these days, YouTube and Instagram influencers sell more products and schemes more efficiently when compared to Bollywood celebrities. Oh, why do you think that is? Okay, we will also come to that. I'll quickly answer this, Dia, at this point, because, if it's on your mind, I want it cleared right away. So the answer is that, influencers seem more like people next door. These people are actually part of your community, or you've chosen to be part of their community. And it seems like what they say, it rings truer many a times. And now with the norms and the laws, they have to tell you if they are promoting a brand which is a sponsored brand, or if they are telling genuinely from their own experience. They need to tell you that. So when they tell you that this is a genuine experience, I've tried it myself, and this person is could easily be you, or you or your neighbor, then the chances of credibility is much higher. Whereas with Bollywood celebrities, you get a sense like maybe it's because they're getting paid to say this, or they just endorsing any brand, so it doesn't make a difference what they say, because they'll anyhow say good things about whichever brand they're endorsing. So believability is low. So I think it's a trust factor. It is a factor of feeling that this the influencer is closer to you, in a closer circle, whereas the Bollywood star is after all a star, right? So very far away from where you are. You're on earth and Bollywood's people are stars. So that's why. Well, that's one sort of straight answer to this. The other tool that marketers have with them is called the EEG. It looks something like this. I'm trying to click on it. Give me a moment. Yup. It looks something like this. They pick up electromagnetic signals from the brain once again through, again, a very painless, non-invasive device, and use these signals to make sense of what's going on. So the EEG is another tool that marketers use to understand consumer motivations. And finally is the eye tracking. This again is a very simple device. It's either mounted on the screen itself, whatever screen you're watching, it can be mounted on that, and then it captures your eye. It calibrates your eye, what's it called? The eyeball, and then it tracks the eye wherever it moves. Or like how this lady is wearing in this picture, it can be glasses. She can wear glasses, and the glasses again, like Google eyes, this thing, like how Google had Google glasses, something like that. So it's similar, and it captures the eye movement in 2-3 different ways. I'll talk about that as well. So one is that it captures the movement of the eye. It's called the saccades. So it captures the movement. It also captures the points where it sticks. So those are called fixation points. So the first fixation, which means when I'm looking at the entire screen, what's the point that I'm fixing on first? It captures that. Then it captures all the points where there is maximum fixation, which means you're spending maximum time on something. Then it captures that and creates a heat map that this is very hot area on the screen because people are looking at this space the most. So those sort of things also make a difference, because one is able to say many things based on the fixations and the saccades, the movement of the eye. The third thing that can be studied through eye tracking is pupil dilation. So when somebody is excited, when you're happy, when you are, energetic, your pupil dilates. And that dilation is a signal for excitement. And that is useful to understand whether people are happy or not. So for instance, when you're watching a trailer of a movie, this is not the entire movie, it's just a trailer, then that trailer becomes, you need to see how often the pupil dilates to see whether the trailer is causing any excitement. Because if the trailer doesn't cause excitement, then there's no chance people are going to go and watch that movie, right? If it's going to be a boring trailer, then the chances that people will watch it are very low. So sometimes the trailers of movies are first tested using eye tracking before they actually run it in the on various screens, whether you see it on YouTube or OTT or Insta or wherever they're boosting it, on theaters, for instance. So that is primarily some of the tools that you have. There are some other tools also, like skin galvanizers. This is how much you sweat. That also gives you an indication of whether the body is going through any sort of excitement while watching something or feeling tired. And finally, they also use face recognition. So facial expressions are captured. A very interesting study that was done in a classroom. to capture students' facial expressions. And, every time the students look like they were getting drowsy or sleepy, it would give the professor a time to kind of hold back and maybe crack a joke or pull everybody back to attention with something very important, like maybe, oh, I'm going to announce an assignment, and then everybody wakes up. So these sort of studies have been conducted using neuroscience to help different kinds of people to take decisions, to understand consumer motivation, and so on and so forth. I'm going to take one more question at this stage. I see something in the chat. Like the Bollywood celebrities, influencers may also choose to say things because they're getting paid. Any thoughts on that? Yes. So that's what I meant when I said, Navika, thanks for this question. Now the law kind of is in place where influencers, if they are using sponsorship, right, where they are paid to say something, they need to mention that upfront. So you will find that in the video itself, it says it's a sponsored video, which means that the brand has paid them to speak about it. And when they're talking about it also, sometimes they say that it's sponsored or it's paid. This is a paid for promotion. So when both of these things happen, then it's understood that it's paid for, and that the credibility on that is lower than if they were genuinely talking about their experience with a brand. So ethically, it's considered important that influencers declare this information, and they are bound legally to do it so that they don't mislead consumers into believing that this is their own opinion. Yeah. So there are checks and balances in place when it comes to things like this, because like we are going to discuss later, neuroscience can be very dangerous if used by the wrong people. So one must, law, government, marketers themselves must be very mindful of what they're doing with this. How is this information or how is this insight being used? And I think everybody is mindful of it. They're trying to do their level best to protect the consumer and not to harm them. So everyone knows what attention is. Yeah. Is the bouncing ball capturing your attention? So it is when the mind takes possession of something that creates a vivid format, yeah, or several simultaneous possible observations or trails of thoughts. So this is what attention is. And as you can see, there is a certain science to attention also. And this also has been learned by studying the brain. One is that you need focalization and concentration. And two is the withdrawal from other things in order to focus on something. So attention, everybody, we are going to play a quick game now. Yeah, on your screen, you will see certain playing cards. And these playing cards all have a different sign, color, and a different cue. Pick one from this. Quickly pick one. Choose your card. And what I'm going to do in the process is I'm going to make that card disappear for you. Has your card disappeared on this lot? So for all of you who have played this game, yep, it's gone, right? The Queen of Spades is gone. You're saying your card is not gone? Div? King of Hearts is gone. There's only King of Diamond now. Yes. Yeah. So all of you have played this game. Is that it's a very simple game. All the cards from the first screen are different in the cards from the second screen. So, but because there is limitation to our focus, we focus on just one card that we are looking at, and we notice that it's gone. But actually, all the cards which were there on the first screen are not there on the second. So what seems like magic, that the that the card has disappeared, is because you feel that all the others are there and only my card is missing, which really is like this bottle, Our focus is narrow, like the neck of the bottle, and that small, narrow focus then goes into our brain and becomes sort of like a ballooned decision or something that we created impression on or a perception of. So when we create that image, we are actually using very little of our abilities, which is the neck of the bottle. And then we create impressions of things which are much larger than that. So that's why it's important that one is able to catch people's attention. What is it that will catch attention? And then use that. Okay, so that was the card game. Now there is another one. Take a look at this and tell me quickly, try to memorize everything that is there on this. Yeah. Well, end of game. How many of you can say what the brand was? You can type it on the in your chat box. How many of you remember the brand name? Type the brand name if you remember it. Okay, I'm getting different answers. Navika, Priyanshi, Div, I don't remember. Okay. Siddhi, okay. House lane or no broker? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's take another question from that same screen. How many of you remember how much that flat was for? So it's a real estate ad. Do you remember how much the flat was for or whatever they were selling was for? There was a number mentioned over there. Okay, I'm getting different answers again, but many correct. 15 lakhs to 15 crores. No. 14 lakhs. 9 lakhs. Okay, okay. And can't remember 9. Only number I saw was 4. Oh, very good. Somebody saw the phone number. What was the phone number? Anybody remembers the phone number? Very nice. Yeah, Utkarsh. I'm with you on this one as well. Even I don't remember the phone number. Okay, let's go back to that screen and just take a look at it once again. 6132, somebody says 6312. So 6132 is correct actually. And now we are looking at the brand name again, Zerbia. Book now and save up to 9 lakhs. Apartments starting from 14 lakhs onwards. So what happens is that with limited time and one screen, you notice that it's not possible to absorb everything quickly. Yeah, it's not possible to absorb everything quickly. And whatever you have done is great. I mean, this gives us insight into what, having not told you what to pay attention to, you have still been able to retain different parts of the ad in your own mind. So all of those of you who got it right, very good cognitive skill. And, maybe memory, I would say, is quite strong. Very nice. Excellent. So there are two different processes when it comes to attention. One is called the bottom-up attention and the other is called the top-down attention. Bottom-up attention is what happened right now. You looked at something and whatever caught your attention, you paid sort of interest to that and you remember that, and the rest of it you forget because it's too much, like somebody in the group chat said, it's too much. Whereas top-down approach is where you need to use your cognitive ability. So you're not just basing it on something that's flashing or something that's attractive, but something that requires your brain to sort of process an information and be able to remember it like that. We will take examples. Yeah, we will take examples. 1 second. I'm just looking at the last chat that's come in so that I know what's going on. Are billboards sort of outdated? I don't remember half things. No, so if I'm from Bombay, yeah, my folks are still there and we travel a lot to Bombay. And one thing that you can't miss on this drive is the Jeep ad. The Jeep that sticks out from the mountains. So if you have ever traveled to Bombay, you will notice this Jeep for sure, especially if you're coming back from Bombay to Pune. This Jeep is something that really sticks out and catches your attention. So no, it's not outdated, but it has evolved with technology. If I have time, I will show you some ads which are now using technology, which means they only show the ad uh, as and when it's needed. There's a very award-winning British Airways ad which shows you a certain, as in the billboard, shows you the details of a flight right when the flight is going over the overhead of that billboard. So that's a fantastic, beautiful ad. And if you have time, I'll show it to you. But it's not outdated. It's still used a lot in cities, but not so much, and on the highways, but not so much in, a lot of other places. Yeah. So that's the answer to that. Bottom up attention has all these different sort of features, or uses these sort of features to make itself visible. One is to create contrast, like you see here. Yeah, you're seeing a red apple in between all the green apples, and therefore you notice the red apple more clearly because it's contrasted amongst all the green apples. It can also be about density, where you're trying to find an X in this. Can you find the one that's marked? Yeah, you can see the one that's marked like in orange. Yeah, a square, a kite inside a square. And here is where there is contrast, color contrast, and, other aspects of brightness, of movement. The first ball bouncing was an example of movement. And then there are color contrasts, which help you to decide, to again pay attention to something, because there is contrasting color, there's bright pictures, which makes you look at it. So once again, question for all of you. Here are a few flavors of Lay's chips. I hope all of you all have not gone the healthy way and stopped eating Lay's altogether. Which is amongst these is your best flavor? I'm getting some answers already. Let me take a look. Magic masala, chili lemon, magic masala, sour cream and onion, barbecue, magic masala. So hands down winner is magic masala here, which is the Indian flavor. Yeah, it's only available, if you know, it's only available in the Indian continent and not available anywhere else. Yeah. Oh, classic yellow one. It's not here, but that's what you like. Very nice. So you may like Pringles also, Utkarsh. Yeah, because that's also like a plain flavor. Okay, so some of you have already sort of mentioned it here in your answers, but with magic masala is also associated the color blue, which is the color of our jersey when we are playing football or cricket or any of these games where, our uniforms our jerseys are always blue in color. So we are kind of known for that color. And whenever, although masala is never blue, and this one was a very not a very spicy, but a more spicier version of Lay's at that time. They decided to use blue because that's the color India represents everywhere. So we did a study, interesting study here, which looked at whether people were looking at the color. So while you were mentioning magic masala, some of you mentioned blue color. Yeah, so this is a study that we did, which looked at whether Lay's packet colors were more important. See the first one, or the flavor was more important. So what if I put a chili lemon in the blue packet? And what if I put a sour cream in the yellow packet? And what if I put a flaming hot in the American cream and onion? Yeah, so what do people actually notice and pick up is what we were looking at. And through an eye tracking study, we did this study and we found out that people were actually looking at colors and not the real flavor. So if I were to put an onion and cream in a blue packet, you would pick it up thinking that it is magic masala and not onion and cream, because colors have a stronger connection or the attention that is picked up by colors is far more than the words that are written over there, which is the flavor of the brand or flavor of the chips that you are going to pick up. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because marketers then know that people are picking up based on color cues, which is really the bottom-up approach. It's the quick way of figuring out which brand which flavor you're picking up, rather than reading what's on it and figuring out that this is not the brand that or not the flavor that you wanted. Yeah. Similarly, color cues have other sort of connotations. I'll tell you another connotation that color cues have. With looks, people choose color, though people can choose it because they like. What about the colorblind people? Yes, yes, correct. Yeah. So all this color, eye tracking naturally works only for people who have full sort of who are not visually impaired in any way. So it works for them, but yeah, for everybody else, you need other cues as well. But that's the larger audience, so which is why we were looking at people. But of course, all the people who got into the study did not have any visual impairment, which means if they were using glasses and the calibration was going wrong, you need to calibrate your eyes before you can be part of the study to give us those insights. So if that calibration was not working out properly, they were dropped out of the study, and only the people who could calibrate well. So basically people with, no visual impairment were used for it. But yes, it does give you insight. So one more thing about color was that people associate color with various things, which is already predetermined in your head, right? So one study was conducted where two groups of people were given two cameras. One was a gray camera and the other was a purple camera. So one group got a purple camera and the other got a gray camera. They were asked to go out into the field, take pictures, and then look at the quality of the picture and comment on the quality of the picture. So very sort of, again, predictably so, the people who got the gray camera rated the picture quality as better. Yeah, so significantly better and consistently better than the people who got the purple camera, and then they rated the quality of the picture. What do you think happened here? What do you think happened here? I'm looking at the chat box for answers on what you think happened. You thought purple would be better. Okay. Yes, their images are associated with the tools used. So why is the gray one thought of as better? The black or the gray one thought of? Yes, it gives them. So Div says that gray gave a sense of professionalism, whereas purple is considered to be light, fun, youthful, colorful, therefore maybe amateur. Yeah, sophisticated gray or black. Yes, yes, yes. So that's exactly what happened. When you got a gray camera, which is dull on the outside, it gives a sense of being more professional, whereas a purple, yellow, red camera seems to be a little more fun, a little more youthful, and maybe therefore amateur. Yeah, it's for the amateur and not for the professional is the kind of feel they got. And therefore, although both the cameras were the same, the models were the same, the gray camera always got rated higher when it came to picture quality as compared to the blue camera. Let's look at another one here. So these are some of the studies that I have done myself, along with my co-authors. So, in various journals, international journals, we looked at the effect of celebrity endorsement and product involvement on consumers' response to digital advertising. So whenever digital advertising was done, here's something that we were looking at when we found very interesting answers. Similarly, the interactive effect of product involvement and brand familiarity and ad appeal on engagement. What we were doing is that we look in YouTube ads, you have a chance to skip the ad, right? You can, after the first 4 seconds, you're allowed to skip the ad. So we were looking at what makes people actually watch that full ad while they're, on YouTube, trying to watch some other content and the ad interrupts, then what is it that they makes them stick and watch? So what makes the ad sticky is what we were trying to look at. And there too, we found very interesting answers. So let me ask you this question. So there can be big brands, which means they are known brands, maybe like a Apple or a Samsung or a OnePlus. These are known brands as against an unknown brand. Yeah. So there is a brand that is, let's say some new brand, Chinese brand that's in the market that you're not aware of. Who should have better creative advertising? Should it be the unknown brand or should it be the known brand? You can type UN for unknown brand and just K for the known brand. Who should have more creative advertising? You can just type UN for unknown and K for the known brand. Okay. I have somebody who says unknown, unknown, somebody who says known, known, unknown. Oh, so it's 50-50 divided between unknown and known. So if you were the marketing manager, wouldn't you be interested in really knowing whether it is the known brand or the unknown brand which needs to spend more on building a good creative ad? Yeah, I'm sure you would, because, it's out for grabs. I mean, 50% of you are saying known, 50% of you are saying unknown. And all of you who has said known, Sanskriti, and let me go up and catch all the people who have said known. Sorry. Marketing the brand. Yeah. So let's say that you are working for the unknown brand. You need to know whether you need to create more better ads for that one, right? Well, okay. So all the people who chose the known brand, pick your hand up and pat your back. Okay. So why does the known ad need to be more creative, or the known brand need to be more creative? We found through the eye tracking study, as well as we triangulated with asking people questions around why they decided to skip the ad. So what happened is that in a known brand, right, there is already no mystery. You know which the brand is. So you don't really, you're not looking for anything more. And if it's a boring ad, then you just skip it, saying, oh, why did Apple have to create such a boring ad? And you skip it. So Apple needs to spend more time creating better creative ads as compared to, so the fact that it is an unknown brand, even when they make not very interesting ads, you watch it just to see which is this brand or what's it doing, as compared to a known brand. So the question is of ads being uninteresting. So an uninteresting ad for a known brand is skipped faster than an uninteresting ad for an unknown brand. Because in the unknown brand, you at least want to see which is this brand as compared to a known brand. Yeah. So, well, one would not have known that unless we did this study and we got this answer. So we had sort of recommendations for both the big brands as well as the small brands on what they need to do to make consumers watch their ads. On a space like YouTube, it's easily skippable. And also telling them of what they need to do and who are the ones who really need to invest. Just because you're a big brand, don't think that you can put any boring, not creative, uninteresting content out there and expect people to watch it just because you're a big brand.
It seems like ma'am is having a little bit of internet connection. She'll be back in a few moments. Oh, she's back already, guys. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Oops. So yeah, so I lost electricity, but I'm on hotspot. I'm hoping that I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are. Yes, you're professor.
Fantastic. Yes. Very interactive audience, I must say. Thank you for hanging on. We are at 5 minutes to 4, and very soon I'm going to take up more questions from the chat box as well. I can see there are some questions in Q&A. We'll pick all that up. Meanwhile, let me share my screen. Where is it? Oh, power is back, but I'm not switching out of this. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. Sorry. Just transitioning. Give me a moment. I'm fixing it. There it is. Okay, where were we? Visible, right? All the 3 studies. Is it visible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible and it's visible.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. So the eye tracker, the one that I worked a lot on, I've done a lot of studies on the eye tracker. It actually looks at, it captures where you're looking, how long you're looking at something, how your focus moves from one thing to the other, and how you navigate the length and breadth of any screen. So if it's a large screen, if it's a TV screen, if it's a screen in the theater, or simply your mobile screen, it's able to capture how you navigate through the screen. Currently, we are doing some interesting studies, just completed the studies, which is looking at the eye tracking when you're buying food. Yeah, so it's combining it with, so when you're on Swiggy, Zomato, and such other apps, and you're trying to buy food, what is it that you're paying attention to? Looking at the distance that, the restaurant is in? Are you looking at the cuisine? Are you looking at the price? Are you looking at the promotion? Are you looking at the calorie content in the product? So are you looking at distance, or how far away it is, and whether how much time it will take you to for them to deliver it to your doorstep? What are you looking at? So that's the study we are doing. We've got our results. We are in the space of analyzing these results, and I can't wait to sort of, bring this out to the world, say what is it that people are looking at when they are buying food. And we layer this very interestingly with what happens to all this, all the different cues that are there on the screen, if you are hungry versus if you are not hungry. So if you're just buying food, like, as a snack or something where you still have an hour to go before you really get hungry, as against if you're buying, you're looking at these websites or these apps when you're really hungry, when you're like really craving for food. And that's the second layer we created. And then what else did we do? We looked at whether there are gender differences. If, different genders look at different things. We looked at different socioeconomic groups. If people from in different groups of, how much money they have to spend, etc., how they looked at it. So these were some of the kind of things we looked at. And I'll just give you some indications of how the heat map looks. So here is an image, and the heat map is basically showing how much time was spent by a person looking at different parts of this screen. And whenever you see red, that means that most time was spent on that spot. Then there is orange around it, which means second most important. Then there is yellow, and then there is green. So yellow and green means people spend less and less time. And where there is nothing means they're not even looked at it. They're not even looked at some parts of this, and they're looked at some others. And here is what you call the saccades or the pathways. What was the first point of fixation was around the hairline of this of the image of the person in this. Yeah, that's first, and then so on and so forth. You can see from first where it went to second, third, fourth, and then so that also gives you some idea that after your eyes fix on something, then where does it move to second? Where does it move to third? Does it come back? So by the sixth and the eighth point, it's come back to this person's face, which means after one, it moved away for a few different touch points, and then it came back onto the face. And it spent some time on the face. So that is how you're seeing the heat map and the fixation. So that for you was bottom-up approach. What the eye catches attention first, attention and what it sees. And whether it's because of color or because something very interesting is going on or because of something that's shocking on the screen, it can catch your attention quickly. But the top-down attention approach means that it is the opposite of this. It requires complex cognitive processes. Yeah. For instance, here's a problem. If you have to solve this problem, you have to give it your full attention, right? 3 corn cobs make 33, 1 corn cob and 2. So have you all started preparing for your entrance exams in various competitive entrance exams? Then this must be something you would see often. These sort of problems. Yeah, so this requires logical reasoning, right? Yeah, yes. Okay. Oh, they were solved it. 87. Well, the fun part is now that I don't know the answer. I've just put it here so that you realize that you have to spend some time. And I also, if I have to solve this, I have to actually sit down, pay attention, and then say, okay, how much is it? Some of you have come up with an answer, which is good, but you would have realized that it's not just grabbing attention, but actually sitting down and solving. So that is called the top-down attention approach, where you need to put your brain to it. Yeah. So solve this also. This is also a difficult problem to solve. This is not an answer you get in a minute. So there is a fantastic book by Nobel laureate Kahneman, which talks about our brain having two systems. One is called system 1. The other one is called system 2. System 1 follows the bottom-up approach. It is fast, it's unconscious, it's automatic. You see a smiling face, you want to smile back. You see a bright color, it makes you happy. You see, a flower in bloom. Yeah, you get instant reactions to all of this. So it's fast, it's unconscious, it's automatic. System 2, on the other hand, 1 second, where is system 2? System 2 is slow, it's conscious, and it's controlled. The kind of ones that you saw with the number crunching or the solving of problems is a system 2. So when products are expensive, one spends more time thinking about whether you should buy it or not, right? So if you want to catch the attention of people, usually when you want to, so in any environment, in a marketing environment, it is said that you should have some cues that catch the person's attention. This could be the brand color, it could be the person, it could be something funny, humorous. Start like that. And then go on to system 2, which asks the customer to spend more time thinking about it before they make the purchase. So if an ad has to be successful, create something that appeals to system 1 first. And if you want people to buy based on that ad, then provide cues with system 2 that helps to make that decision. So system 1 only grabs attention, system 2 makes decisions. But if it's, let's say, an impulse product, you don't want anybody to think, then you can simply appeal to system 1, which is a quick, like, pick me up kind of a message. Yeah. But how can this also be dangerous? Can I have some answers? I'm looking at the chat now. How can, having this knowledge in your hand be dangerous for the customer, really, not for so much for the marketer? Okay. I'll answer this as well. Yeah. How can it be? It invades privacy. Yes. Very good, Utkarsh. Unreliable marketing actually becomes more reliable because when you get these results, the answers are more consistent. Not ethical. Okay. Promoting harmful products. Yes, very good, Purva. So if you have this knowledge in your hand, you can even use it to promote harmful products, which can then, people will not realize. They think that they are taking their own decision, but actually it's the knowledge from neuroscience that's making them buy it. Yeah. Create a sense of wanting for things that they don't need. Yes, very good, very good. It creates a sense of wanting when it actually does not exist. So just because of me activating system 1 or getting people to pay more attention and see something, that to them wanting to buy it, so which is again not a very good thing. Okay. Creates influence. Yes. So while consumers may think that they are in control and they are the ones who are making the decision on buying a product or not buying a product, actually it may be the knowledge of neuroscience that is making you buy it. Yeah, the application of neuroscience knowledge that's making you buy it. So it can be misused by marketeers, correct, on that front. It's inadequate, actually. Also, another thing is that it's inadequate without more information. So sometimes what we find is that people have spent a lot of time on something on the screen. Through the heat map, we are able to see that. But it may mean two things. It may mean that this particular image was interesting, or it could also mean that it was confusing. It was so confusing that I was trying to spend time on that image, trying to understand what's going on there. So in neuroscience, it's important that you triangulate it with more information. You need to also pick up some other source of information or data to be able to make sure that this is the right interpretation of what you're seeing. So that is good. Third is, as you saw, it's very expensive. It's prohibitively expensive. An MRI, one MRI can cost anything between 11,000 and 18,000 rupees. So it's very expensive. Eye tracking, one device costs 20 lakhs and 25 lakhs. So again, it's a very expensive product. And everybody cannot, so every decision in marketing should not depend on neuroscience because it's expensive. And finally, it can take away. So this is something that somebody answered also, taking away control from consumers. It does take away control. And we are coming to the end of this session. So I have a few points of summary here, and after which I will take more questions. I'll start looking at questions as well. So here is a summary that neuroscience, what is it? It uses physiological measures to inform marketing decisions. There are two parts to our brain. One is the one that reacts quickly to things that you see around us. So attention is picked up by one part of the brain called system 1. And that is, it relies on memory of quickly being able to associate with something. Whereas system 2 is more deliberate, it's thought through, it's more conscious. Yeah? So there are two parts to the brain. Then we learned about the principles of attention, which is largely that it is, it functions on, contrast, on brightness, on creating sort of microgranules of it, so you're able to see it. Yeah, so all of these are the principles of attention. Then we looked at the concepts of top down and bottom up, when you should use what. So if you're meeting a stranger for the first time, use a bottom up approach. Do something that they know about. That's why we start conversations with weather, because everybody has something to say about the weather. Yeah. And that's something that comes quickly to you, rather than asking them a question around neuroscience or commenting about what's happening in in the field of cancer treatment. You don't go there first. You ask them something simple, easy, which is the bottom up approach, and then move to, depending on capacity, to a top down approach. And we looked at several applications in marketing and why neuroscience can be a double-edged sword. So that was my summary. And what do I have? We are circling back now to these 3 challenges. Yeah, what we started with. And now I can also take answers from each of you. What do you think the brand manager should do so that they can sell more in the retail outlets? What should the HR manager do to make people more have more pro-environmental behaviors? And what should the bank manager do to make sure that this person repays the loan? I'm looking for answers in chat. Meanwhile, I'm also looking at the Q&A screen. I'm multitasking here, making both use of my right brain and left brain. Can neuromarketing provide that traditional marketing methods miss? Okay. So while you're putting up your answers for these 3 questions in the chat box, I'm also answering the questions that came from an anonymous attendee, which says, what type of consumer behavior insights can neuromarketing provide that traditional methods might miss? So most of the times, traditional marketing uses surveys for people to answer questions. So let's say, for example, I ask people if they will conform to environmental norms, right? And everybody naturally says yes, because it's desirable. You don't want to seem like somebody who doesn't. So will you litter the floor, or will you hit your kids if you have kids? Yeah, or will you spit on the staircase while you're walking on the staircase? If I ask you all these questions, which traditional marketing basically does, it asks you questions, you will get very socially acceptable answers, like, hey, I will not hit my kids, or no, I will not throw things on the floor. I will drop it in the dustbin, and so on. But if you were to capture facial expression, then you are able to see some sort of dissonance with the answer. You're able to see that actually this person will do it, but they're saying they won't do it. Yeah, something like a lie detector that catches your brain signal and then says, hey, somebody's saying, I did not kill this person, but they're telling a lie. So neuroscience helps you pick up these sort of cues and helps you to then use that information into your insight building, rather than using the cues using what the customer tells themselves openly. Okay. Akhil, can you open the door? So while the questions are building in, can you give me a second? Somebody's at the door and knocking. Okay, I'm back. Let's get the video on. Arjun! Sorry. When we look at packaging of Japanese product web pages and then at other product web pages, why is it that we find the Japanese products are of elements with big fonts? images and avoid having white space while others aim at the opposite. Yeah. So Japanese, as you know, use a lot of whites. They have an obsession with clear clear skin and so on. So their whole, even clothes are mostly whites and pastel colors. So that is something of their own choice. So it appeals to their audiences. And that is also what keeps them distinctly different from the others, in the sense that you're able to notice, although they're very fair, they use white color clothes very often. So it gives them a sense of, it's like how we Indians use a lot of color, and that becomes our representation, just like maybe Egyptians, Moroccans, they also use a lot of colors. But Japanese, their sense of cueing that they are Japanese is through very simple elements and white colors. So yes, it's a cultural sort of a cue. Then I'm gone to chat. More products should be placed at eye level and be under eye category. Very good. So this sort of an insight div was used for chocolates, that they realized that kids are very small, right? So and they are the sort of consumers for many different kinds of chocolates. So chocolates, you will notice, if it's kept in an aisle, it will be kept in the bottom row. Even in the biscuit aisle, you will find that cream biscuits are in the bottom row, which is what kids consume, and salted and other sort of crackers are at the adult vision. So yeah, that's a fantastic insight that's come out of this. What types of consumer behavior insights can you provide? Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. White spaces talk about classic sort of screens. White spaces are meant to give a very simple, sophisticated yet neat look to any any screen space. Even in advertising, whatever, whether it was physical advertising where it's in the page or it's on a screen, white spaces create that sense of calmness and clean advertising. Sometimes sophistication is also visible through very clean white ads. And it also provides, when there's minimalistic font and large font, then it gives you that nice contrast for you to only observe what's written there, while the rest of the space is in white. So white is for class, it is for cleanness, it's for, for simplicity. For all of this, white is used. Okay. So I've exhausted. I think I've answered most of the questions. As I can see, there are 4 more questions in the Q&A box. Do we have time? Ishika, do we have time?
Yes, ma'am, we do have 10 minutes with us.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, I think, yeah, we have exhausted. Much of it is in response to what I had asked earlier. So we have exhausted the questions as well. And we are on time, in time for everybody to go party on a Saturday evening. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope I have been able to both make it useful as well as interesting for all of you. Yeah, I hope that you all have learned something for me. How do I say that I had a successful session? One, if it has been, it has given you any new information that you didn't know before, and if it has come to you in an interesting format. If both of these are done, then yes, it's, I consider it to be a good use of time and energy for both of us.
Ma'am, it was definitely an enriching session. I'm sure that, everybody loved it because it was so interactive. I could see this was honestly like the way the students were interacting. It was very, very interesting. Myself being a marketing student, I was very much involved in the entire session as well. I'm looking forward to having a class with you if possible in the future as well. Uh, So also to all the students who've attended, I've put up a link in the chat section. Please make sure that you spell your name correctly because that's how it'll reflect in your letter of participation. So please make sure you fill it in before you exit the webinar as well. So the link is in the chat box. Please go there to see it. And ma'am, once again, really, really enriching session. I loved it. I'm like 100% sure the students did as well, as you're saying in the chats as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for your time, your attention, both top down and bottom up.